Yes, everybody, welcome back. This is another Q&A video. You guys asked for it on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram right here. And once a month, we are doing a Q&A video. So come and follow me over there. Get involved on the stories and all that sort of stuff. And these are the questions that you guys have asked me this week. Here they are. Let's get into them. So the first one we're going to talk about is, why are United struggling so much to create chances? From Domahoney. Good question, mate. Because the component parts look like they're in place, don't they? It looks like the system is an attacking system. We've got fullbacks that want to get forward, except for when Damian plays. We've got a midfield that wants to pass the ball forward ahead of them. You've got movement, you've got pace, and you go, I don't know why. Now, against Brighton, we had a lot of possession, especially in the first half. We had nearly 2/3 of the possession, 66% of the possession. We had less possession than Leicester in the home game, but we looked all right going forward still. So I don't know what it is. There's a disconnect. Is it something that's happening in training? Is it the fact that Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick have took over that level of training and they're still finding their feet? Still essentially brand new coaches to doing it at this level. Kieran's obviously done it extensively at youth level before. But the answer is, I don't know. And I think that's something that United have definitely got to figure out, because if you're creating chances, you're going to lead to scoring goals. That's why people always don't mind a bad result if the performance is all right, because, you know, you go, look, the performances are there. As long as the performances are there, the results will start to come in the end. But when the performance isn't there and the results are terrible and the attitude looks bad, that can obviously start to unravel very quickly. And I think a lot of people are worried that that might be the case with United. Brizzo says, Strictly Come Dancing or Celebrity Big Brother, we're going to fall out. You know I don't watch none of that crap. I actually don't watch virtually any telly, and especially don't watch any sort of game show or reality, anything like that whatsoever. Can't we play Valencia and Delo on the right back and right wing? That could really balance our right side. I'm not sure it could. I don't think Delo, and obviously David disagrees with me, he thinks he's going to be a first choice by the end of the season. I think he's going to be a bit more someone that's in and around the squad rather than taking a first choice spot, but it's there for him to go and do it if he's got the ability and he's given the opportunity to do so. He could do it, but I think Tony's finished as a right winger. There is almost zero attacking intent in Tony Valencia at the moment, and he might offer a little bit more balance in terms of where he stands, and he'd probably make you a little bit stronger now that he's technically a fullback that would be playing back on the wing. I think United needs someone who's got a little bit more invention, a little bit more ability in the final third, because that's something that we really lack, as well as the balance that would be offered. I think if you was going to try anybody there, Andreas Pereira would be someone that I'd stick back up there if you want balance on the right hand side. Tom Moss says, do you have to pay to see the under-18s at Carrington? No, you don't. It's free. Although a lot of clubs actually do charge. Manchester City charge like £1 or £3 or something, which is an absolute waste of time. Why they do that, I don't know. But what you do need is one of these spectator passes. You have to apply for these. Hit me up in DM and I'll tell you how you get one of those. If Mourinho got sacked at the end of the year, could Carrick keep us in the top four, says Victoria Lucas. Here's the truth, mate. We have no idea what Michael Carrick is like as a coach. We don't know what formation he likes. We don't know if he likes to play defensive. We don't know if he likes to play attacking. We know literally nothing about what Michael Carrick brings to the table as a coach at the moment, and there's no one really talking about him. Andres Pereira was given an interview where he spoke extensively about Jose Mourinho. Now, this was around about just a week or two before the window closed, so you're thinking, is Andreas trying to get in the manager's good books? Because he was just literally praising Jose, and if you listen to the interview, they're asking him specific questions about Michael Carrick and McKenna, trying to find the information out like you guys are, like what they're doing, what's their roles with the first team, and all he kind of does is deflect it and go back to talking about the manager. Now, I think on one hand, he's trying to get into the good books of the manager and hope that he sticks around and is given the opportunity in the first team. But it was weird, I thought, that he wouldn't answer any questions about what Carrick's doing. So at the moment, no one is saying what McKenna and Carrick are bringing to the table. We know that Michael Carrick was an incredible footballer. He was a real cerebral footballer, someone that watched the game. And you think because of the way he played the game and how thoughtful he was that he would be good doing that with someone else. It don't always work out like that. Let's just hope that's the case. I think if Mourinho went, I would be very surprised if it was another internal appointment. I think they would have to go out and get someone, the biggest person available for that. Kieran says, is Jadinho a red? Of course he is. I'm bringing up my son in the faith that the rest of the family is in. In fact, we've spoken about it before, but in case you've missed it, this is my granddad's first programme from his first match, and this is September the 2nd, 1950, Manchester United against Blackpool. This is why I'm a United fan. It's why my dad's a United fan and why Jaden's a United fan. That's how long that we've all been going, and that's why it's in the background on all the videos. Dylan says, do I think Mourinho will last the whole season, and do you think he's the right man for the job? Obviously, a two-part question. I don't think he'll last the whole season. I think we are starting to unravel, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think we are starting to unravel, and I think if we get to a situation that he had at Chelsea in his last season there, where we're starting to get to 10th, 12th, 13th, 14th, I think the board will be forced to act. Is he the right man for the job? I think he could have been the right man for the job, I really do. But here's the problem. Now, people say he's been backed, he's bought two centre-halves, he's bought Lukaku, he's bought Sanchez, he's bought Paul Pogba. The truth is, we don't know who of those signings Jose Mourinho sanctioned. I'm suspicious that he didn't actually want Lindelof. I think Lindelof was maybe something the scouting department had come up with, and Ed Woodward liked the look of him, thinking, we'll steal a march on him. I worry about how much Ed Woodward is involved in the transfers. If he's saying to Jose Mourinho, think about this, the expert that Jose Mourinho is, whether or not you like his football or not, this is the guy that knows what he wants. Did he want Sanchez? I don't think I've ever heard him come out and say that he wanted Sanchez. So we don't really know if he wanted Sanchez. Was he told he's got Sanchez and Sanchez has come with this got to play 90% of matches contract clause? Possible. Did he not want Lindelof? Because he didn't play him, did he, last season? Lindelof went away and he worked a lot on his defensive game and he improved a lot towards the end of the season. But now we're seeing him trying to be blooded in alongside Eric Bailly. Again, we don't definitely know that Jose did or didn't want him. I'm going to assume he did want him because of the way he was put into the team immediately, and he basically plays whenever he's fit and available, the way like Matic does and Lukaku does. I also think he wanted Lukaku. But when you hear of Ed Woodward saying, I don't think we should get that player, but there is 100 million available if you want Rafael Varane, and you know that the Paul Pogba deal was being worked on 2 years before Jose Mourinho came, you go, well, has Jose spent this money? Has he? Or has this money that the club has been spent while he's the manager? He said himself in a press conference the other day, I might as well be called the head coach because I'm not the manager. That was alluding to the fact that his hands are tied a little bit with who he chooses over his targets. Now, if you're not allowing the guy to build the team in his image, how can you judge what his team does? Now, people will hit back and say he should be doing better with the tools that he's got. And I agree. I absolutely agree. He should be doing better with the tools that he's got. But is it not unfair that the man that you choose to carry the can and the man that will get sacked, because you're not going to sack 6 or 7 players for poor performance, continual poor performance. You will sack a manager. Ed Woodward's not going to go anywhere as a CEO of the club. The man that carries the can is Jose Mourinho. And it's unfair on Jose Mourinho if you do not allow him to build the team he wants. Last summer he wanted Perisic. We don't know what sort of effect Perisic would have had on our season. The guy's a wonderful crosser of the ball, something that we desperately lack. If we'd have got him, Lukaku's decent season might have been a phenomenal season. And that might have pushed us over the line in the FA Cup final. We might have actually finished on a little bit of a high last season. Because that was when the negativity started, because we was horrendous in the FA Cup final. The real negativity started then. It didn't improve over the summer because none of the signings came in that we thought we wanted, or obviously Jose wanted. It continued into pre-season, where Jose wasn't saying the things that would have helped him. And then you felt like if we hadn't have beaten Leicester, even though it wasn't a vintage performance, we got over the line, it was going to be this absolute meltdown. That meltdown pretty much came this weekend after Brighton. United got the opportunity to step it back up against Spurs, but if we don't, it's going to get pretty toxic pretty quick, and I can see it unravelling pretty fast with all the other stuff that's going along. But yeah, I do think he's the right man for the job. But if you're not going to back the guy, then maybe it is a better idea to get someone in that could work with the current set of players that we've got. That might be the more prudent thing to do from a business perspective. If you're Ed Woodward, you go, actually, maybe Jardim, Pochettino, Zidane, whoever could come in and do something with this team if Jose's not getting the players that he wants to play a very specific style of football. Could you do a full-time Devils video on the Glazers? We need them out, says Ryan Hall. There's been plenty of content about the Glazers on Full-Time Devils and even on this channel as well. The problem is now the club is, today there was announced that the club is now valued at $4 billion. That's a lot of scratch. There's not many people kicking around with that in the back burner. I think it might have to take a company, like someone like an Apple or a Google or a Tesla or an Amazon to come in and buy Manchester United for the distribution and fandom that follows the club. Otherwise, I don't know who you get in. I mean, with the different owner structures that you see, like the Roman Abramovich style that came in and poured money into Chelsea early doors, he's kind of turned the tap off for them a little bit of late. Sheikh Mansour's come in, poured $1 billion plus into Manchester City and absolutely transformed it into the club that he is now. The difference is both of those men wanted those clubs to be the best. Like Roman Abramovich had this relentless pursuit of Champions League glory, which he eventually managed to get. I'm sure it'll come for Manchester City as well with the money that they've poured into both the infrastructure and the playing staff and everything else around it at Manchester City. The problem that United have got with the owners is that they're not looking to do that. They're sitting and going, how do we get to just enough to pay all the bills and to finance this debt where we can be comfortable doing that, instead of going, what is the best we can do? What is the absolute best that we could do? As we mentioned earlier, there's 100 million available for Ran, but not available for Toby Alderweireld. Why? Commercial reasons, dictating football reasons, it should be the complete opposite. Do you know what sells more than anything else? Success. So if you want to be a successful business, that's a football business, winning titles and winning Champions League, there's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it if you want to bring commercial success to the club, because everybody wants to be associated with winners. So instead of trying to budget your way through it, blow them out of the water. City raised the bar. Liverpool have raised the bar again at the moment, finishing the holes in their squad, identifying and solving them. We ain't done that. And I think it's probably more to be the managers, the owners' blame than it is the managers at the moment. Would I swap David De Gea and Pogba for a 23-year-old Cantona? #Dreamland, says Adam James Denham. How old was Cantona when we signed him? He came in 92 and he left 5 years later. He was 31 when he left. So we got him at 26. I think he was still maturing in his game, because the player that Leeds signed was this. It might have been because of the system that Leeds played in 91-92. But the player that Leeds signed was different to the player that we signed. Maybe it was the fact that Sir Alex brought the flair out in Eric Cantona, but he got more involved as he got older. And I mean, like I said, he walked out at 30. We could have had another few good seasons out of Eric Cantona. A 23-year-old Eric Cantona. I'm assuming you mean to put him into this team. So he'd probably be playing just off Lukaku. I don't think the team's there yet to play around Cantona, but he probably would bring something. He'd bring leadership. He'd absolutely bring leadership. He would bring a bit of confidence in a way that we thought Zlatan might have done, but didn't quite really connect with everybody around him because of the short amount of time that he was here. It's hard to describe how good Cantona was, because the data and the stats wasn't really starting to get compiled until after he retired. You see a lot of people reckoning that James Milner's got more assists than Paul Scholes. They didn't start counting that until like 2/3 of the way through Paul Scholes' career. Cantona, what we do know is he had as many assists as he had goals in his first few seasons at United. And he was played sort of in between attack and midfield. He sort of played off the line, and he really started to force the change of formations that happened in the Premier League, which he never really gets credit for. There was a raft of number 10s came to the Premier League after Sir Alex found success with Eric Cantona playing off and in the hole. A 23-year-old Cantona now, in reality, we're only going to get 7 years out of him, but I would swap it because he made me fall in love with football. I've never seen anything like it. United was a very functional, probably boring team at the time. Before he came, Fergie said himself, we lacked goals. What he was trying to find his Alan Shearer. He tried to get Alan Shearer. He thought an out-and-out goal scorer was what he needed. What he ended up getting in Cantona was a creator, who also chipped in with his fair share of goals, and spectacular goals at that. Yeah, I vote Cantona all the time. Doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is yes for Cantona. Siam, whatever that says. When is the next exclusive coming for Patreon members? It might be this week, but I do need to chat to you guys on Patreon as well, because I'm going to start doing a viewer suggested video as well. So I'll get a couple of topics that you guys want, or we can do a live discussion. So if you are part of the Patreon group, let me know what you fancy. Should we do just a weekly discussion, or should we just do user generated topics? Let us know what you think, and I will enact which ones you go for. Would I ever do stuff about boxing or UFC? Says Jordan. I already do MMA content. We've got the MMA Takeover, which is on the podcast channel. I haven't done one for a little bit because obviously the World Cup and then the start of the season has really taken priority from all that lot. But yes, I do the occasional bit of MMA content, and there'll definitely be more of that coming very soon as well. Do you think the game or the Premier League has evolved beyond Jose? Says Alan Gavami. No, I don't. I really don't. I think he proved that last season, coming second in the Premier League. Yes, we was way off the pace, but we was also ahead of everybody else in the league that's supposedly younger and fresher and better ideas. Like the Spurs 11 on paper is better than United one for me. So those that clamour for Pochettino to be coming and be the Manchester United manager, he's not succeeded with a better team arguably in Spurs. So why would he exceed? Why would he succeed with the extra pressure that you're going to be under with Manchester United? Likewise for Jurgen Klopp now, there's a very real chance that Liverpool and Klopp are going to leapfrog United this season. But for all the praise they got last year, still won nothing. He took them from 4th to 4th. Lost the cup final. Yeah, sweet. We came second and lost the cup final. Clearly the Champions League final's a bigger one than the FA Cup one, but the fact remains, you lost the cup final. You don't really get credit for losing finals. You get the credit for winning them, or you should. Look, I remember all of this at a time Sir Alex Ferguson was being told he was past it. 2004, we saw the Arsenal where they went undefeated in the Premier League. You saw Chelsea come and win back-to-back titles, and there was a lot of United fans was like, Fergie's past it. He's had his time. He won 3 on a bounce. He won the Champions League. The hunger's not there. The game's moved on. All of those things was levelled at Fergie. And what happened? He slowly started to put the pieces in a puzzle back. It took 3-4 seasons for Cristiano Ronaldo to really come to fruition. It took a few years for Wayne Rooney to come to fruition. And this was a man that was allowed to sign the players that he wanted to get in that made a difference to the team. In summer 2006, after Chelsea had just won back-to-back titles, you're like, I don't know if we're ever going to win the league again. And then we signed Michael Carrick. He's given the number 16 shirt after Roy Keane had worn it. And he's just the most opposite midfielder to Roy Keane that you could hope for. And he was the final piece that we needed to win the title that season and then retain it and win the Champions League the following season. Michael Carrick was the catalyst for a lot of what happened with Manchester United because he was different. He stopped trying to replace Roy Keane like for like, and he went a different direction, and the team evolved, and we started to play some excellent football with Wayne Rooney, with Cristiano Ronaldo, with the industry of Ji-Sung Park, Paul Scholes still doing bits. A year later we added Owen Hargreaves to that, and that defence started to take shape. I think if Jose Mourinho is given the chance to get the right signings in, I think he could do a job. I just don't know if he's going to get given that opportunity. You've got to remember, like, Fergie went several years without winning it, and it took him a long time to get back. It might take Jose similar. You've got to remember the love and the money in the bank, if you like, that Fergie had built up with the fan base. Jose's not going to get that luxury. And this is what I don't like about sack him. I can still remember when Manchester City was relegated and the absolute laughing stock that there was with a new manager every single season, when you're going from Brian Horton, Alan Ball, and all of these idiots that they brought in. It wasn't the managers, it was the players aren't good enough. And you have to let them get good enough players in good enough positions, and then you'll start to do something. There's no coincidence that Chelsea have been pretty successful, even though they get rid of their manager every year. They've maintained a level of success because the team was good enough, and the team can ride it out because they're good enough. When you look at this group has failed, by and large it's the same group. They failed Moyes, they failed Louis van Gaal, they're failing Jose Mourinho. There's something fundamentally wrong in the group. That's my opinion. Do I think Callum Gribbin needs a loan in order to step up? Can he make it at United? Callum had a bit of a bad injury last season. I think he probably should go out on loan. I think he probably will go out on loan, and it'll probably do him the world of good to do that. Can he make it at United? he's at that critical age where you need to start getting game time, go to the Championship, go to League One, go abroad, go and make your mark. You can't just sit around in the 23s because it's dross and your career is just going to stagnate if you do that. Pick one, King Eric or Keno, says 22 Look. Roy Keane's the most successful captain this club has ever had and an absolute driving force between some of the best teams that I've ever had the pleasure of watching. He's genuinely underrated for how good he is, but Cantona made me love the game. It's always going to be Cantona, but Roy Keane does run him very, very, very close. Tom Healy says, what match had the best atmosphere in OT that you've been at? So there's a few that stand out, to be honest. The one we first won the league, first won the Premier League in 1993 against Blackburn. Now, at the time, flags were banned. It was just very close to post-hooligan English football, and wooden poles for flags were banned. So you could take flags in, and they were flags that would be draped over the sponsors board and stuff like that. But there was no like big flags in the stand, and there wasn't people waving flags around at all. You didn't really see that. There wasn't a lot of colour in the stadium at the time, certainly in that sense. But we used to watch Football Italia on Channel 4 with James Richardson, and obviously enormous, like full-tier tifos that they used to have, enormous big flags and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And I can remember saying to my dad as we got into the ground, and we was in Stretford End, which was being rebuilt at the time, so we only had the bottom level, now what would be West Lower. I remember saying, it's like Italy. And it wasn't loud, it wasn't intimidating, it had this sort of fun sort of carnival atmosphere because obviously we just won the league, the first time in 26 years. And I think it was just a really nice atmosphere and different and memorable. And you know, what a night that was. Aside from that, I would say Porto, which I think was in 1997. One of the first times that we really absolutely slapped a team in Europe, because European football was weird and new at the time, and it was always difficult. Every team that you come against, Honved, who nowadays you play them, you'd be like, so what? You probably play a bit of a rotated side, as that's what the Champions League has kind of become, hasn't it? But at the time, Honved, you're like, oh, these will be tricky, and we absolutely turned up and slapped Porto. That was an incredible atmosphere. And another one that sticks out was, what year was this? Was it 2007 against Roma at home? It'd gone off royal in Italy, in Rome, with the away fans. And Italian police had batoned a load of United fans, and let's just say the favour was returned when Roma came to Manchester in a big way, and it went off royal outside Old Trafford. But that led to this amazing atmosphere. Now we also needed to score a significant number of goals because of being down in the first leg, and I think we were down in the first leg. Whatever it was, anyway, we needed, even at like 3-4-1, he was like, I don't think we're safe, like, because if they get one, we ended up obviously beating them 7-1, but it was incredible. It was one of the most memorable atmospheres I remember being at Old Trafford. It was great. Will says, out of Cam Waters and Callum Skaman, who is the biggest Tory? Obviously, that's a few of the lads that work here. Now, let's have a real think about this one. They're both Southern. One's a Chelsea fan, one's an Ipswich fan. Cam doesn't like shopping at Aldi. Cam is a Chelsea fan, isn't he? I think it's Cameron. I think he's the biggest Tory. Do you think you could ever get Robbo or Eric on the warm down? Someone like that, says Ryan. Ryan, I am trying at the moment with Cantona. Obviously, when we met him a couple of times, once to do something with Full Time Devils and once after the show that he did at the Lowry. I've got his contact details. I have been speaking to his brother about it. We're trying to make it happen, and it would be my favourite guest ever if I was managing to pull it off. James Stewart says, will we see the Thursday Club again? Yes, you will, just not yet, and I can't give you a date when we're going to return it. I'm still trying to find someone to be a permanent co-host with me on Meat Pie on Sundays. Once I've done that, we'll probably start looking at bringing back the Thursday Club, so don't worry, it will be back soon. What got you into MMA, says Ethan? Watching it. I'd never been exposed to it, and then there was a guy that I served in Iraq with showing me a video. It probably the first one I watched and got up and actually went to, like, found out, you know, I think I got an illegal download of it. The first one that I went to watch was UFC 67, so it must have been early 60s or late 50s. in terms of which UFC it was that he showed me. But he showed me this, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? This is amazing. And I never even thought about trying it out or anything until years after, when I'd left the army. In reality, it's something I should have tried to do while I was in, because there probably would have been a bit of a way to do that. And the last question from Seymour Eric, which is, what exactly does Studio 68 do? We'll have to wait and see, won't you? Anyway, thank you guys for joining in. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. We have got a preview coming out this weekend for Spurs, where we're going to try and drill down into, like someone said earlier, why can't United create chances? Where are we weak at the moment? And how could Spurs hurt us and turn us over? Loads of top content coming, so make sure to keep the notifications turned on and get every single video as it comes live. And then, of course, we'll be doing a United review again straight after, where we look at all the stats and all the data and try and work out where it went right or where it went wrong. Thank you guys for watching. Laters. Welcome to the Stephen Howson Football Channel. This is where I will take you through everything that I do revolving around football, be it that at Old Trafford or elsewhere. This is where you will get your match previews, your reviews, your football vlogs, your scout reports, your transfer talk, your youth reviews, your documentaries, and anything and everything revolving around football. I absolutely love this game. Do me a favour and subscribe. Thank you for watching.